Well, peptides are proving popular, people using well-known ones like Ozempic and Wegovy for weight loss, but there are others for healing and skincare. However, not all are created equal, and testing has not exactly caught up. Tim Caulfield joins us this morning to talk more about this. He's an author and research director at the Health Law Institute for the University of Alberta. Tim, let's start with what are peptides and how do they work?
Yeah, look, the peptides are absolutely everywhere right now. They really are, as you highlighted, sort of the wellness buzzword right now. Look, peptides are very basically a building block for proteins. And as you highlighted, off the top there, peptides are a common part of therapies that we have, like insulin, right? And the GLP-1s, I think, are one of the most well-known now and have really, transformed how we deal with weight loss. So peptides, they're a natural substance, our body makes them, but they're also a pharmaceutical intervention. And holy cow, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they certainly are, and people are talking about stacking them and using them for different reasons. Are they all the same? Are they all safe? Where are we at as this continues to take off?
No, they're not all the same. They really aren't all the same. So you have the ones that have been clinically tested and have years of safety studies associated with them, like Ozempic, insulin, and then you have these ones that are largely unregulated, and I think it's fair to say largely unproven, right? And they're it's a gray market, and people are using for all. There is the Wolverine stack. It's this idea that if you stack all these peptides, it'll have a regenerative impact on your body, it'll help your sex life, et cetera, and it is largely unproven. Eric Topol, a well-known biomedical researcher, said, look, none of this is proven, right? So lots of hype, and I think it's become popular because of the GLP-1s have kind of put the idea of peptides on people's radar. Then you have endorsement by people like Joe Rogan. Then you have wellness influencers selling this, commodifying this, right? And then you have just sort of the general sort of science exploitation hype around the area, and you equal this massive gray market that is largely unproven.
Now, what's your advice for people who are seeing this maybe in their skincare products, or they're being marketed this for all kinds of different things? How do you know what's going to work, what's safe, all that sort of stuff?
So if you're seeing it in like a beauty product, right, they're just talking about what's in the cream, and often they'll use, I've used this phrase already, they put it out there because it sounds sciencey, right? And we know research tells us science exploitation works. You use a sciencey word, especially if it's in the popular press, the product's more likely to seem legitimate. But if it's a wellness influencer inviting you to inject something, I think you should be extremely, extremely hesitant. There could be real harm here, right? Real harm. There was a study that found that some of these off-label, these gray market products are contaminated with bacteria. Some of them don't have in the, in the bottle what they claim is on the label. And it is potentially, if it is a peptide, biologically active, right? We don't have long-term studies to know what the harm is. They often use animal studies, Kent, to justify this. Animal studies very rarely translate into clinical use for humans, right? If it's just an animal study, if you were a betting person, don't bet on it, right? Wait for the large clinical studies that show efficacy.
And always, if you're looking for medical intervention, talk to your doctor about it. Tim, we always appreciate your insight. Thanks so much this morning.
Thank you.
You can follow Tim and his medical research at Caulfield Tim online.